We got this one from Fox 32 Chicago. This is the channel I used to watch all the time growing up.
Yeah, dude, 32.
32, Simpsons on at 5:30.
That's right.
Yeah, Border Patrol vehicle rammed before clash on Chicago's southeast side, officials say. They say it happened around noon near South Avenue N and East 105th Street in the East Side neighborhood. Chicago police say officers were called to the 10500 block of South Avenue for a crash involving federal authorities. CPD says they weren't part of the operation but responded. A DHS spokesperson said the incident began when a vehicle driven by an illegal alien rammed a Border Patrol vehicle and tried to flee. Agents pursued and eventually stopped the vehicle using a precision immobilization technique, a pit maneuver. DHS says 2 people then ran from the car but were caught and taken into custody. We actually have this video from Nick Sorter of what happened, ABC7. This is wild. Check this out. A crowd starts forming with flags to defend the illegals who attacked DHS, and then they begin lobbing stones at the police.
Again, when you first got on scene and you were able to talk to some neighbors and some witnesses there on the scene and describe to us what initially...
Judy, wait 1 second. I see Chicago police are arriving and putting themselves in the middle of the situation right now. It appears there might be someone in command, from what I can see, approaching the area. I'm not sure if this is in an attempt to start dispersing the crowds, but we have just in the last few seconds seen Chicago police, who had remained at bay, now starting to put themselves in the middle of the...
They're throwing rocks now. There it is. You see them?
Protesters are starting...
Let's go back. Because he throws tear gas, but I want you guys, you can see one of the DHS guys looks over as a rock goes flying immediately after another rock goes flying.
Police would remain at bay.
So take a look at this cop right here.
To put themselves
He's going to look up and over as there. Something was just thrown. There's another rock thrown.
Protesters are
they just
starting
launched
to throw
tear gas.
rocks. We're going to get away from the scene right now, Judy.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, you take care of yourself. I'm going to let her get off the phone. We really appreciate it. Get to a safe place.
Rocks are deadly weapons.
So what you're watching,
Indeed.
what you continue to watch is exactly
so
what Michelle
the tear gas,
possibly moved
look at
their
this.
vehicles. And it was at that
they
point
threw off more gas. So, I love this because these liberals are like, you're a bootlicker, blah, 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 because you're defending the cops. And I'm like, they're my cops. Like, it's when I hire security guards and they tell me, like, stand back, I don't go, hey, you don't tell me what to do. Like we were driving in Phoenix and we had this guy who's a SEAL, he's like a SEAL guy doing our security, and it was me and Brandon, and then Brandon was like, hey, you want to park? Like, where do you want to park? And then I said, it's up to him. Security guy is hired specifically to tell me how to stay safe. These cops, these agents on the ground are doing the job we voted for them to do.
That's exactly
We have
right.
asked them to do this. They have stood in harm's way on our behalf for us. And this is important. Police were trying to arrest a criminal, and these people started attacking the police. So I'm not here to play these stupid games with these psychotic terrorists. When we asked these brave men to please go out here and do this job, and they got attacked.
Well, dude, and also you can't take the phrase bootlicker seriously because 99% of the people who use it want higher taxes. Like, all right, they want more gun restrictions. They want to be told what to do.
Look, if they're throwing rocks, those are deadly weapons. Like that is an escalation, and they're lucky that the police respond with tear gas.
Amen.
And with like rubber bullets or less than lethal means. You're throwing rocks at the cops. You're trying to significantly injure them. Like serious bodily harm or death is what you're hoping for. If they hit a cop in the head that didn't have a helmet on, you could break his skull open. Like you get what you ask for, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're asking for violence from the police.
Yeah, and like again, aside from I agree with you.
Well, they're starting violence.
They're starting violence. Aside from just the morality of it, it is obviously not a smart idea to throw a rock at a person who has a gun. I
don't think that they actually do have
because
guns.
then they might shoot the rock out of the sky.
I think they most likely have less lethal stuff. So they have paintball guns that have.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure these guys have guns though.
Yeah, I think they.
I mean, these guys aren't riot control. These guys were out trying to arrest criminals.
Oh, all right.
And then they got attacked by them.
Yeah, well,
this is what the Democrat administration did. I'm gonna go back to Elaad because he made this point that I hear a lot of people on the like moderate right say like, well, Democrats are eventually going to get back into power and you better watch out. It's like, bro, They brought in, at the low end, 10 million illegal immigrants who are now engaged in violence against our law enforcement trying to deal with it. If Democrats get back into power, there's not going to be a United States.
They should all be deported.
The Democrats?
Those who are violent
Agreed.
against our DHS agents.
They're not guaranteed to be immigrants, though.
No, but I think you should be denaturalized and deported if you are violent towards our DHS agents, though. I don't care about this if you were born in America.
No, I mean,
therefore, you are an American citizenship. The anchor babies are an issue. People who are advocating violence against our DHS agents
Just
are a
put 'em in
serious
jail
issue.
for a
People
long
who lobby for revolution are a serious issue in our country. DHS agents, I feel very bad for because there's so much fear mongering surrounding them between activists online. I cover a lot of DHS arrests, and you could tell from the comments online, the activist groups around them, likening them to Nazis, talk about shooting officers online very often on all these social media platforms. And it doesn't stop there, because then you also have Democrat politicians likening them to the Gestapo, people like Tim Walz in Minnesota and whatnot. So I foresee an increase in violence towards these agents, not decreasing it. And it makes me more sympathetic to the argument that these guys should be able to be masked, because we're seeing a ton of people dox these agents, and then they're not only seeing violence towards them in the streets, but also online and towards their families once they go home. Well, I'm ambivalent on the masking stuff.
Well, it's interesting. No, I mean, I think a lot of what you said there is right on the money. The left just murdered a moderate conservative who was speaking to college students. When you say this law enforcement agency that some fraction of the public doesn't like are Gestapo or are Nazis, what are you obviously calling for, right?
You know, I need to hit up Constantine and Francis over at Trigonometry again and have a follow up to our conversation from when was it? Earlier in the year, right? It was like April or something.
Yeah, it was springtime.
Because I was talking about the fears of a civil war emerging, and now we've seen such a dramatic escalation
in England or here.
No, here.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there's talk of in Great Britain as well, conflict breaking out. But I was talking to them about fear of civil war in the United States, and they made the point that most people who are unlearned on the issue make, and that is not meant to be derisive. It is most people aren't aware of how conflicts emerge, and so the point they made is actually fairly common, and it's I go outside and I don't see anything like this, so why should I assume any of this is going to happen? And it's fascinating because literally never in history has it been that a government changed and there's a revolution or a civil war because every single person in every city went out of their house and started fighting somebody randomly in the street. You would not see it. However, based on that conversation, where are we now? If you look at Chicago, it looks like we have front lines forming. The fact that DHS has now been rammed and attacked, I think this may be the third or fourth time or more. Because our news team was like, I've lost track of how many rammings we've seen, attacks in Chicago. One of the most infuriating videos I've seen was DHS trying to arrest a guy who is presumed to be an illegal immigrant, because we don't know the story. And this guy is screaming, "Ayúdame, help me," and people run up and help him. So you've got a guy who's here illegally. We voted as Americans to remove these people and for law enforcement to do this job. And there are people attacking our law enforcement to shut that job down and help the criminals escape. That is a terrifying reality as to what's going on in this country. We voted. The will of the people be done. They're responding in places like Chicago, Portland, and the entirety of California. No. What's going to happen when Zoran Mamdani wins in New York? Oh, man. He outright said he's going to take $100 million from the public coffers to fund illegal immigrant legal fees. So the public taxpayer will be financing the destruction of their own home state, home city.
I mean, imagine living and paying taxes in New York right now.
I just moved to Texas.
Good call.
I just felt it.
Call, dude.
I didn't really move. The criminals forced me out. I mean,
They chased you.
well, everything. The
You ran
criminals, the wokeism, the feminism, the you can't work because you didn't get the vaccine. It was like
my
it was everything.
That was insane.
It was everything at once.
Yeah, you made the right choice.
I'd be embarrassed to live there if he was the mayor. I mean, I'd actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something that I probably shouldn't say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I am not going back to Chicago anytime soon until there is clarification on the status of politics in this country. I don't know if I can find this story. Let me see if I can. Live streamers, NBC Chicago. But when Luke Rudkowski, hey, look at this. There it is. I did find it. Luke Rudkowski and I, as well as a handful of other people, This is a very old story. Look, it's gone. Oh, here we go. Live streamers, new faces of journalism, a new breed of journalist. We got profiled by NBC5 Chicago 13 years ago. And here we go. Tell me the story. Hey, here's why I'm not going back to Chicago. May 20th, 2012, independent journalist detained at gunpoint by CPD. Chicago police tried planting drugs in our car to put us in prison.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. And I've been having this conversation security-wise with what time it is with a lot of people. And I said, guys, in Portland, Nick Sorter was attacked by Antifa, went to the police to report it, and they arrested him. It is only because he's got a large number of followers and the Trump DOJ intervened publicly that they decided not to press charges and go after him. In 2012, when I went to Chicago, Luke Rutkowski, myself, my friend Jeff, Jess, and Luke's friend, I forget his name. You can see here, Tim Pool has been covering the NATO protests, was detained around 2 a.m. Whoa. The long story short of it is we got surrounded by 10 vehicles. I can't remember the total number. Only 2 of them were marked. They illegally pulled us out, searched the vehicle, took all of our possessions and belongings. We're trying to pop open batteries and cameras to look if there's anything inside. Wrote down credit card numbers, passport numbers, ID numbers. Then some guy came up and said, so, your vehicle matched the description. That's why we stopped you, but you're free to go. Long story short, after this, someone that we believed to be under the direction of a police informant was trying to plant Adderall in our vehicle. And only because of my experience with operational security, I was able to stop that from happening. After which we got tips from people the police were trying to track down our vehicle, presumably because...
For Adderall? We got 3 Focus drivers here.
Yeah, it's a 4-year mandatory.
They're abiding by every law, blinkers on point. That's crazy.
Having a pill bottle that doesn't belong to you in your vehicle is 4 years in prison mandatory.
Jesus.
Yes, in Illinois.
I gotta go move my car.
So if that person was able to successfully plant those drugs in our car, and then we got pulled over a second time, I think what happened was the cops pulled us over hoping that they were going to find something, thinking that these guys are going to have something we can get them on. They had previously arrested, there's something called the NATO 5, arrested on terror charges because they found beer-making equipment that they accused these leftists, these are Antifa guys, they accused them of having Molotov cocktail
I thought Jimmy
stuff.
Kimmel just said Antifa doesn't exist.
It's not real.
Well, at the time, they didn't call them Antifa. These are just far leftists. Okay. So it's a long story. I talked about it before, but basically what happened was I instructed everybody who was with us, they couldn't bring anything in the car, and anything consumable, edible, or disposable be thrown away, and the only thing they could bring with was hard equipment and clothing. And long story short, someone who we believe was under the direction of a police informant or police themselves was trying to sneak drugs into the car, and had we gotten pulled over. So where I am at right now,
That was Chicago?
That was Chicago, yeah. And Chicago's notorious for having black sites where they'll arrest, quote unquote, somebody and bring them to an undisclosed location to beat and torture them. People, this is Chicago, bro. You had John Burge, I think his name was. Whoa. He would electrocute people and force confessions out of them with a cattle prod or something like that. Charlie Kirk has been murdered. They are arresting conservatives in Portland right now who have committed no crimes. They are clearly, by any means necessary, making moves against their enemy partisans. So I have been telling people, understand what time it is and what this means. If you go to a corrupt place like Chicago in the midst of a conflict where illegal aliens are attacking DHS and the governor is siding with the illegal immigrants and the judges are telling DHS to remove the barriers around their facilities to allow the rioters to attack them, what do you think they will do to you? It's real simple.
Yeah.
To be fair, like someone like me, I may have a large enough following to where, like Nick Sorter, they'd back off. But there's going to be potentially, with what's going on in Chicago, a lesser known personality. They'll get disappeared. They're going to get grabbed. The cops are going to say, "Oops, found coke," and there's going to be no one to help them because they only have a small number of followers, something like that. Considering what happened to Nick, and because right now we don't even know these other guys that Andy No reported on, a conservative got hit in the head with what was presumed to be a rock, ends up in the hospital. The cops come to the hospital and criminally charge him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't know what's going on with that, but I'm telling you guys, understand what time it is. If you show up and you're standing at the Broadview Center for ICE or whatever, I think you are naive to think that they are not going to criminally charge you with something and they can make it up.
Yeah, it is.
That's what they did to Nick. I am not talking about a hypothetical. I am telling you, Nick Sorter is on camera being physically attacked by Antifa, and then the police lied to arrest him, and it's only because he has a following and the DOJ got involved that he was released without charge. What's going to happen to the rest of us or anyone else who goes to these jurisdictions? You know what? Tell me I'm paranoid, that's fine. Look up the story, independent journalist detained at gunpoint by CPD. This has happened, and right now it's hotter than it's ever been.
Look, like your remarks about partisans and the way that the police, law enforcement, depending on where they are, how they treat people, it's absolutely obvious to anyone that'll look. I mean, whether it be the FBI when it was under the previous administration going after parents because they didn't want their kids to be taught certain subjects in school about gender ideology or what have you, the way the FBI treated conservatives across the board. There were a bunch of people that were under investigation by the FBI, or the FBI was monitoring what they were doing and what they were saying. If you are public conservative, and you are in the wrong jurisdiction, you will be targeted. The AG, if Jay Jones wins in Virginia next month, and you're a conservative, you can guarantee that you will not get treated to the same type of justice system that a Democrat would. This is without question.
An important point is Jay Jones said he wanted his opponent's children murdered. And that if he had the option to shoot Hitler, Pol Pot, or the Republican speaker in Virginia, he'd shoot the Republican speaker twice.
But him as DA, he's going to treat you fairly if you're a conservative. Give me a break. That's insane to think.
This is on a much smaller scale, but in New York City, I think I talked about this 4 years ago. I was on your show. I got told I wasn't going to be hired because I'm white. I have it on tape. Yeah. I'm now on year 4, and we haven't even. We're just finishing the discovery phase. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, it's on my attorney said he's never seen a more clear case of discrimination.
What do you think
in New York City?
What do you think New York's going to be like if Zoran Mamdani wins?
Right.
Tyler, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your case.
Sure.
You were, what was it, not hired because you were white? You were told that because you were white?
Not only that.
To your face?
Well, it was on a phone call. So I was like I was in Hollywood. I was acting on TV shows, and I was on Chicago Med, actually, played a drug addict. But,
so just method acting, right?
Yeah, meth acting.
It's in the eyes.
Yeah, meth head acting.
Oh, meth acting.
Meth
head
acting.
Yeah, I was like the fucking Aaron Paul of drug addict horse jockeys. That was a horse jockey.
Sweet.
But anyways, I was booking a lot of roles, and then all the BLM stuff, the first wave, then the second wave, and they started to tell me outright. I would book a commercial campaign. They'd call and go, "We want you because you do impressions or whatever it is." But we got to put a black face or XYZ. And I started to document this. And then I would get called in, hey, we want you to be on SNL. So I would get one of the big-time agents. And then they'd say, it's not a good time for white guys. So I have a whole slew of stuff. And everyone was calling me the racist. This is what happened in New York City. And then I got the last call on tape, an acting manager, AGI they're called. And they said it's our company policy to not represent white men right now.
What?
They scouted me.
They said those words. They said it's our company policy to not represent white men.
I went on Dr. Phil. I played. It's
that's insane.
And it's got no, whatever. But that's just the reality.
Because what you need to understand is, imagine you go to Qatar and beg them to allow women to go to school, drive, and own their own homes and properties. They're going to be like, yeah, okay, buddy. That's what you're trying to do when you go to these jurisdictions,
right.
to impose your ideological wills on these people. The same thing is true when I was at Vice. I was told that when they hired me, it was the negotiations I literally had with the guys at Vice was, I can do social media and live streaming, but I can't do documentary. I want to do the HBO stuff. And they said, okay, we'll do the documentary stuff with you. You do the live stream stuff with us. We'll figure it out. Did a handful of docs that did really, really well. The Kim.com one got millions. I field produced the North Korea one. It got millions. And then I was told by a producer I couldn't host for HBO because HBO didn't want any white men. I
remember you told me that.
When I went to Fusion, they had something, there was an event called the Black and Brown Forum where they were going to have Democratic candidates. It was like Bernie and Hillary and someone else. And they had the top talent, their senior talent, except me. They contracted a black comedian. And when I asked the president of the company, why did they bring someone else in when I'm one of their senior talent and they're paying a lot of money. He said, "You look too white." And I was like, "I am second generation mixed race." He goes, "Yeah, but you look white." I'm like, holy crap.
Normal for them to say it. They're so confident. See, that's the thing. It's like they're the tyrannical ones. They're the racist ones.
I mean, that's openly against the law, right? The Civil Rights Act prevents that.
And it's
literally
4 years I've been spending half of my time on that while being called the racist for even pursuing.
And the Republicans are like, we can't break the law. We can't do anything that skirts the law, even though it is the norm nowadays.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.